Hey, all, Treebeard here. I'm going to talk to you a little about one of the virtues that is taught in My Little Pony and the kind of confusing way that it's handled. I'm going to be talking about forgiveness in My Little Pony. Now, to start off, it's a virtue that I'm really glad that they're trying to teach to kids in this show, because I feel like it's something that's kind of getting lost in the sweep of modern culture, with people trying to be as vindictive as possible. Because you kind of see that everywhere. That nobody really forgives anyone for anything anymore, and it's disconcerting, especially considering what it's going to do to interpersonal relationships. But back to how it's handled in My Little Pony. They kind of address this issue right from the very beginning. Well, I say address, more like touch on it. With the premiere, when the main six actually managed to turn Nightmare Moon back into Luna, Celestia basically forgives her sister immediately. Now, I say immediately, but in universe, she's had like 1,000 years to ruminate over it. But in the eyes of the viewer, it didn't take very long for this villain to be forgiven. There was somebody who reviewed Lunar Eclipse, and they said that just in the pilot, there are all these ponies that were like celebrating and partying with Luna, and now the same ones are suddenly scared of her when she comes back. And I'll admit that while given the continuity, that is a valid argument. I would also argue that it was kind of weird that they were celebrating like that to begin with the pony that they were terrified of mere moments before. Or maybe they simply didn't recognize her as that pony. I don't know, but I like that later that it shows that in healthy relationships in Pony, especially with the Do Princess's Dream of Magical Sheep, it kind of shows that it is easier for other people to forgive you than it is for you to forgive yourself, especially when you're the person supplicating for forgiveness, because you can't really ask for forgiveness if you're not sorry. And then there's the other sort of redemption forgiveness episode that's fairly polarizing, and that would be Keep Calm and Flutter On. My personal feelings about it is that I feel like Discord's redemption should really have been its own arc. This is a big deal. This is the spirit of chaos and disharmony just becoming a good guy, even though his very nature is to sow discord and to cause unrest. So yeah, it's a big deal, and I feel like Keep Calm and Flutter On didn't treat it like the big deal it really should have been. But there's also the idea that Fluttershy forgives discord fairly quickly, and when you're trying to teach the virtue of forgiveness, it's a little bit tricky, because on the one hand, you want the kids to learn how to forgive people. You want the kids to learn how to let go. But on the other hand, you don't want to make it look like they're doing it too easily. You want to make sure that the person who is doing the forgiving has been hurt by the person they need to forgive. That it actually affected them, and that the person who's supplicating for forgiveness realizes that what they did is wrong. Now, Discord, when they're trying to reform him, Discord doesn't seem to really... He never really expresses regret up until the end. And I guess that's one thing I can say in Keep Calm and Flutter On's favor, that they did eventually get to that, with Fluttershy sort of expressing frustration with Discord. and Discord finally asking, you asked to be forgiven, and then he is. Although one of the issues I took with Keep Calm and Flutter On was that Fluttershy, while yes, it's true that Discord had to turn her forcefully because she's the nicest of the group and is too nice for Discord to twist in his favor, which I thought was weird actually, because Fluttershy can be kind of passive aggressive. Discord also forcefully turned Fluttershy. If anybody held a grudge against him, I would think it'd be her. You know? It's... I don't know. It's weird. Forgiveness in My Little Pony is kind of weird. Because... I don't know. Maybe they're just not very sure how to handle it and address it to a modern audience where we're starting to become more vindictive than we used to be. And, I don't know. I can't really speak to why that's happening, but it is. But, yeah. Forgiveness in My Little Pony. It's a little weird, but I like that they're teaching the virtue, and it seems like with Do Princesses Dream of Magical Sheep, they've kind of got it down. Like I said in that podcast and in that react, I really like that the Tantibus isn't just gone, which leads me to believe that while the other ponies, by that point, have forgiven Luna, I don't think she completely forgave herself, and that's appropriate, because when you regret something enough that you feel the need to be forgiven for it, to have somebody else forgive you, it means you need help with it, and that you can't really forgive yourself. But, yeah. Forgiveness in My Little Pony. I'm glad they're teaching it, and I'm glad that it's starting to... I'm glad that they're getting better at it, and I hope we see it a little bit more. The villain redemption thing is a little bit weird to some people, but to me, it's not so much that the villains are being redeemed, so much as that they seem to be redeemed fairly quickly. But hey, that's just my opinion. You might have your own beliefs, your own thoughts on this, and you're free to have them. Feel free to comment your thoughts on the nature of forgiveness in My Little Pony. Is it unjustified? Do they not portray it very well? Was there a particular instance that you really liked? Do you disagree with some of what I said? Please join in on the conversation. And until then, I've been Treebeard, and I'll catch y'all later. Oh, and I'll be working on the next Changeling log in a bit. Later.